While I found myself very bored and disinterested in the Stanley Cup conference finals, I am excited about the finals and one player in particular.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen.
Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on this Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Friday. It is May 30th, ending the year of May, which means that the NHL Stanley Cup Finals are about to begin on June 4th between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. However, with these two teams meeting again, I have a master plan about one player in particular coming to the Blues. We're going to talk about prospect Jackson Smith. I like him a lot for this team, and I feel like he would be a really good fit on the blue line. And finally, my favorite Friday segment. We do this every single Friday. You know it. I know it. Are we feeling blue? Was this a good week or was this a bad week for the St. Louis Blues? And you can be the judge of that. Anyways, let's dive into what is going on with the finals and why there's maybe one player that I feel like could potentially end up wearing the blue note sooner than later. So it is the Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers. No surprise on that one. The Dallas Stars did not show up. Jake Ottinger looked atrocious. And that pains me because I like Jake Ottinger. I do not like the Dallas Stars, but I like Ottinger. And then, of course, you had the Carolina Hurricanes who lost in 5 gentlemen's sweep for both of these teams. Anderson and net, again, things were not so great with that game either. It was ugly hockey, unenjoyable hockey. But for me, I feel like maybe this is my devilish side, but I feel like in particular, if let's go say the Panthers win the cup this season again, back to back. Well, the timeline for Matthew Tkachuk, you knew I was going with this one, speed up just a little bit. Let me explain to you why. No doubt about it, Matthew Tkachuk has a crazy 8-year contract, $76 million, right? Each year he's making $9.5 million AAV, and he will become a UFA in 2030-31 at 33 years old. However, if the Panthers win B2B back-to-back, and let's go say next season they don't do well, would Matthew then consider coming here to St. Louis? Now, I know the answer is probably no. I respect it. I get it. I'm not upset about it. I mean, I am because I want him to wear the blue note soon. But I don't know. I feel like he is the one player that I feel like will end up here, either him or Brady. But I have a feeling it would be Matthew than Brady. I don't know. That's just my kind of like feeling about it. But again, there's other players that we need to watch on the Florida Panthers, such as a Sam Bennett. He's 28 years old. He's a center, and he's one of the top UFAs heading into this offseason. And here's the thing. He's an aggressive playmaker. Despite what you might think about him, he is aggressive, and he does have very strong postseason performances. Then you have Aaron Ekblad, again, defenseman at 29 years old. He is also a core piece, in my opinion, to the Panthers defense. And then you have Bobrovsky, but again, being a veteran goalie, I don't think he's going to end up here. You have Brad Marchand, right? This is an interesting one because it's so weird that he's on the Bruins. We made him cry here. Let's go Blues. But again, with Brad Marchand, he is one of those players that could definitely spice up a team. I just don't think it would be the right move for the Blues. But again, who knows? All I know is that the Matthew Tkachuk timeline, I just need to be sped up just a little bit. There's no guarantee that he's going to sign here, but I just have a feeling that that's always a possibility. Now, when we look at the Edmonton Oilers, there's definitely a couple players that we have to look at that will become UFAs, which includes Corey Perry, But again, I don't think the Blues are going to sign him. Jeff Skinner, again, same thing. Trent Frederick, again, don't think that as well. So again, it makes it really interesting too, because the Oilers, I've talked about this before, they do have an older team in a sense. But when it comes to RFAs, restricted free agents, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because you have Evan Bouchard, who's a defenseman at age 25. Here's the thing. This past season, he recorded 67 points in the regular season with 32 points in 25 playoff games, okay? Including a record-setting 26 assists by a defenseman in a single postseason. Right now, potentially you could see him going for 9 to 10 million AAV. I really do believe that defense is the one fundamental staple piece, right? Fundamental piece that the Blues really need to improve. So that's what I have my eyes on. So I guess my top two guys, my number one from the Panthers would be Sam Bennett, center Sam Bennett, and then obviously defenseman Evan Bouchard. But this is going to be a really interesting series. And I want to just touch on this for a little bit because I feel like this could be a good learning point for the Blues. You see, the Blues beat the Oilers in the regular season, I believe. I know they definitely beat them. How many times? Blues, Oilers, regular season. Yeah. No. Wait. Hold on. The Blues did. Oh. Never mind. Never. Just. Okay. Never mind. Okay. Yeah, so the Edmonton Oilers are a really good team. Wow, yikes. I thought it was 2014 for a second. I was like, oh wow, wait, never mind. However, the one thing that I will say about the Edmonton Oilers is that I do believe that they are beatable. Now, the Florida Panthers, I mean, let's be so for real. They swept the Blues. I mean, the Blues did get 1 point though in their December game because it went to OT, but yeah, let's call for how it is. These teams are much better than the Blues. So Edmonton does have the home advantage in this series. So game 1 will be Wednesday, June 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 Central. And from watching the playoffs, right, I just have a feeling that Florida is going to win back-to-back. Now, I know every single person's going to say, wow, we want the Canadian team to win because, a Canadian team hasn't won since the 90s. And I get that, and I understand that, and I sympathize because I'm a hockey fan too. I think that would be awesome. I just can't see this Florida team being beat. And that's what it comes down to. And the Edmonton Oilers, they don't have much time left, right? With the current team that they have. They're an older team. Obviously, a lot of their players are worth a lot of money, so they can't re-sign all of them. So again, I personally think it's going to be Florida. I will not be upset if it's Edmonton, only for the fact that I respect Connor McDavid and I like Corey Perry. I think it's very simple with me. When I think about the Edmonton Oilers, I think about how they didn't pay Philip Broberg or Dylan Holloway the money that they deserved, and they messed up big time with that. And I've been saying that, so I kind of feel like if they win, it's going to discredit what Holloway and Broberg did for them last season. And I think that's my concern, is that I don't want anything that they did to be discredited in this run that the Oilers are having now. I mean, when you think about it, the Oilers have legend Corey Perry. Like, that's a huge advantage to have on a team, right? Okay. Listen, I try to be humorous time to time, just, trying to throw in some jazz, pizzazz, whatever. But I just feel like the Panthers are a better team. So my prediction is going to be Panthers in 6. I don't think the series is going to go to 7. I feel like the Panthers are just so strong offensively. And while the Oilers are as well, I feel like the Panthers know how to attack right away. And sometimes Edmonton doesn't necessarily do that. Again, it's really hard to judge these two teams because last year I felt like it was a great matchup again. But I enjoy rematches. I get bored, and I like when it's like different teams and not always like the same teams. And I don't know. Maybe I'm weird about it, but that's just my 2 cents. I'd rather it be like 2 different teams every season, except the Blues. If the Blues were in it every season, I would be happy. Coming up, I'm going to talk to you about Jackson Smith, who is a potential prospect that I like a lot, but I want to talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to start winning big. And for me personally, I may not be the biggest, NBA fan, but I do know that tomorrow at 8, you have the Knicks and the Pacers in Indiana for a game 6. Right now, Indiana leads the series 3-2, but I am telling you that with the Knicks winning last night, I would take the Knicks on this one. So I would go Knicks money line, and I would put Knicks, specifically Jalen Brunson, plus 20 points. So that is what I would do in my parlay, okay? So new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more of FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. With the draft under a month away, it is time to start talking about some potential prospects, even though I think our Blues will not be drafting a 19th overall. I think they're going to end up trading the pick. And you know what's funny about that before I get into Jackson? I have been saying this for a long time now. And if it doesn't happen and the Blues end up drafting at 19th overall, you have videos like this where you can look back on and be like, oh, wow, she did give us potential candidates. I just feel like for the Blues, it would benefit them the most not to, draft anybody at 19 and put it into a package. Right now, the Blues are in a situation where they really need to be careful about what they're not leveraging in a package, right? Because you have players like a Justin Folk and Nick Leddy who may not have the most value to their name, but you throw in a first-round draft pick, and no matter where it is in the first round, it is still a first-round draft pick. And this draft class isn't so great. Let's be for real. It's not. However, in my opinion, I feel like either way, miracles can happen, and 19 isn't like the 32nd overall pick. So, again, not horrible. All right, let's talk about Jackson because I like him a lot for this team. All right. So Jackson Smith, he's a left-handed defenseman from Tri-City Americans in the WHL. He's 6'3", 195 pounds, and he's known for his strong skating and his physical presence. Last season, he played 68 games with 11 goals, 43 assists, and 54 points. Penalty minutes were at 48, plus minus he was +2. In the playoffs, he played 5 games with 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, and 4 penalty minutes. Bleacher Report also went on. Bleacher Nation actually suggests that adding youth to the Blues' blue line is a significant need for the Blues, and Smith would be a valuable pick at this spot. So I made this graphic just so you can kind of see the stats about him as I go into more detail that I'm going to read for you that I was able to record. So Jackson Smith is known for his skating ability, which allows him to have a smooth transition between defense and offense. He has strong agility and balance, which basically allows him to be flexible in all the different zones, making him a really solid and strong two-way defenseman. Now, I know I've talked a lot about two-way defensemen on this podcast, right? And I've said, I want a guy that's just defense. Okay, well, that's not always the reality. And right now with Jackson Smith, I feel like having a strong two-way defenseman especially with how this team isn't the worst thing. And I think it's going to actually fit in with what this team does best, okay? He also demonstrates a high hockey IQ, and he often makes smart decisions under pressure. And that, to me, in itself is a really important statement that the scouts wrote up about him, because you don't want a player that's not going to be calm and composed. And that is what he is showing. So it shows his maturity as well. Anyways, he is also a huge contributor to both the power play and the penalty kill unit. Again, we have talked about that on this podcast, how important that is for this team. We lost Torrey Krug, and again, he was great on the power play, but we need that strong presence. So right now with Jackson Smith displaying that, it makes me feel really good about the potential. So this is kind of like a draft outlook, right? With his performance, his skill set, and everything, he is projected to be a top 15 pick in the draft. Some rankings even have him at top 10. For me, I feel like this is a little bit of an iffy situation, right? Because the Blues right now, 19th overall. So with him being projected and him kind of climbing up in the ranks makes me nervous, but I still feel like he could fall back a little bit, right? Anyways, he was born May 13th, 2007 in Calgary, Alberta. He's 18 years old as of today. 6'3", 195 pounds. And again, he has been with the WHL since 2022. So again, really good, one of their premier defensemen. So again, I feel like him overall is such a great fit to this team, right? And that's what makes me even more excited. So here's some more things about him. His ice time, he has averaged 22 minutes and 43 seconds per game, including 3 minutes and 13 seconds on the power play and 1 minute and 12 seconds on the penalty kill, which again shows that he can play essentially whatever unit you need him out on. His passing accuracy, right now, he has completed 90% of his passes. So again, he occasionally has to play some forced plays, but it gives him about like 5 giveaways per game. Obviously not so great, but it is what it is. Again, 195 pounds isn't the worst thing, but again, if he added a little bit more muscle, that wouldn't be the worst thing either for Jackson Smith. He represented Canada at the 2024 Gretzky Cup, recording 3 assists in 5 games. He played nearly 20 minutes per game. And again, the strong defense presence just stood out for him during that tournament. So again, I feel like, again, we can go over the statistics, right? And we have. But I feel like with the Blues right now, this is the type of player that they realistically need. He has displayed excellence in every way possible. And while he is 18, still very young, I don't think that he'd be ready for, the big league this season. Let him develop, right? That's all you can do. And then a little bit from now, he will be ready. But I feel like having some strong defensive prospects. I know we have our guy, Adam Juracek. Again, that interview was here on Locked On Blues YouTube channel. But again, having that beneficial for this team. And I'm going to leave it at that. I am a big fan of Jackson Smith. And I think the Blues can make a really good draft pick from 19th overall with Jackson Smith. While 19th overall is not ideal, and I understand that for some of you, you might be wondering, Hale, is it even worth it? In my opinion, it is, because it is still a first-round draft pick in the 2025 NHL entry-level draft, which is quickly approaching. And in yesterday's episode, I did talk about the lack of buzz surrounding the draft, which kind of annoys me because I love the draft, and with how anticlimactic it's been, I just feel myself so disinterested in it. And I'm a huge draft person, but I'm hoping that each day when I show you different potential candidates, this will make you more excited about the draft and what's to come for our Blues. So again, Jackson Smith, left-handed defenseman, Tri-City Americans, WHL. WHL. All right. So we have my favorite Friday segment, which I get into every single Friday here in Locked On Blues, called Are We Feeling Blue? Where I talk to you, was this a good week or was this a bad week for the St. Louis Blues? But first, I want to let you know to subscribe to Locked On Blues here on YouTube at Locked On Blues. Or if you're feeling a little bit jazzy, spiffy, and you kind of want to venture out, make sure to follow on Twitter as well at Locked On Blues, or my own Twitter at Haley T. Simon, where I talk to you, my everydayers, about our St. Louis Blues. We have a lot of fun conversations. We do. We talk about prospects. We talk about, game reactions, Stanley Cup finals. But I think one thing that we talked about this week that I am most proud of is the fact, hey, what is going on with Joel Hofer? And that is why I'm going to get into Are We Feeling Blue? Are we feeling blue? Was this a good week or was this a bad week? St. Louis Blues. I'm going to go in and let you know that I feel like this was a frustrating week. I want to see that extension for Joel Hofer so badly. It has bothered me that now we're nearing the end of May. It's about to be June, and there's no talk or anything surrounding an extension for Hofer. While I understand that it is still early into the offseason, I don't want the Blues to be in a situation where another team sends out an offer sheet. That's a reality, and that's a reality that I do not want to live in, because how bad would that be that Doug Armstrong, puts out this offer sheet for Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway last season in the offseason, and then boom, all of a sudden it is done to us. I would not like that. There was a lot of talk before the Blues extended J.K. Neighbors that they were going to do that to J.K. Neighbors, the Edmonton Oilers, and I was like, oh my goodness, that'd be my worst nightmare. Luckily, don't need to worry about that. But it just gets me thinking, why are the Blues so hesitant to give Joel Hofer an extension? It's not like he's worth that much money to where it would be an issue with the team or the cap space. And we talked about the cap space. I think I'm just in a position right now where it has been quiet in Blue Land. I just want to know what is going on with the future of my team. I think it's obvious for all of us that we all care about the St. Louis Blues. That's why we're listening to this podcast. That's why we're invested in the offseason, because we cannot wait for next season to begin. I know for me personally, all I do is talk about the Blues. Like, that's my hockey team. And I love having a hockey team that has so much potential. But when I don't know what's going to happen with a backup goalie that I feel like is a really big staple to this team right now, I get a little bit nervous, a little bit hesitant. So if you were to ask me if this was a good week or a bad week, I guess I can say it was a frustrating week. How about that for an answer? Because I do not know what's going on with this team. I really feel like something needs to happen. Something needs to happen, and maybe they are going to put that 19th overall draft pick in a package. I don't know, but whatever it is, if Joel Hofer is on another NHL team, I'm going to lose my mind. So there is that. All right. It has been another fun episode of Locked On Blues. I hope everybody has a great weekend. And I want to put out this disclaimer. If anything happens, if there is any extension, trades, you name it, that happened over the weekend, I will always do an emergency episode. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, because I am telling you the latest Blues news. Well, it's only here in Locked On Blues. And like always, how I end every single episode, let's go Blues.